Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Daria, and in today's video I want to take a look at the allied races we have so far. So before we get the Zandalari and the Dark Iron Dwarves, before any of this, we're going to first be able to play with Void Elves, Nightborn, Lightforged Draenei, and High Mountain Tauren. So, on everyone's mind would be the question, when leveling one of these, what is the best race class combo? Technically, Blizzard doesn't bar you from playing any race class combo, but some of us want to get the most out of our character. And depending on the races that we're running, we will combine these races with specific classes in order to perform better. So in this video, I want to take the available information that we have on Void Elves, Nightborn, Lightforged, and High Mountain to theorize some of the best possible race class combination for both PvE and PvP, and it'll be all my opinion, my experience based. And you guys are more than welcome to decide whatever the hell you want to play in the future. So without further ado, let's get into the video. The first race we have are Nightborn, and they have very interesting racials. First racial is Spatial Rift. Tear a rift in space, reactivate its ability to teleport through the rift. 40-yard range, 2-minute cooldown. Then we have Chill of Night, reduces shadow damage taken by 1%. Entropic Embrace, your abilities have a chance to empower you with the Essence of Void, increasing damage and healing by 5% for 12 seconds. Ethereal Connection, reduces the cost of void storage and transmogrification by 50%, and Preternatural Calm. Your spellcasts are not delayed by taking damage. Off the bat, I want to say for both PvP and PvE, Preternatural Calm is a great racial for casters. If you're a healer, no matter what damage goes out, whether it's in a dungeon or a raid, you will always be able to get your heals out every single time. And as a ranged DPS that's a caster, you will be living global to global, pumping damage into the enemy, even if a warrior is slamming your face. So for PvE and PvP, both of those guys, just for those races alone, I would say healers in DPS, in PvP and PvE, DPS being caster DPS. Spatial Rift on top of it combos together into the PvP aspect, giving you an extra mobility. And it looks like a mobility where you'll teleport to the rift, not like a Mage Blink style. So if you're somebody who is running away from a caster and you want to kite him, Spatial Rift will allow you to kite. If it works like a blink, then it would allow melee to kind of chase after other healers or after other DPS or whoever they need. But so far we know and we think this ability will work a lot like a Warlock portal. So imagine a Warlock that can cast at all times, has Entropic Embrace that can empower him, and Spatial Rift in order to blink away once the melee gets too close. Of course, if you're somebody who simply does a lot of transmogs, then Ethereal Connection will allow you to reduce the cost of void storage and transmogrification. So if you're somebody who simply wants to save a little bit of gold, that's probably the best racial to go for. Then we have the Nightborn race, and these guys have a few interesting racials. Cantrips conjure up an Elder Grimoire, allowing you to melee access for 1.5 minutes. Arcane Pulse, dealing arcane damage to nearby enemies every 2 seconds and snares them by 50%, last 20 seconds. Arcane History, inscription skill increased by 15. Arcane Affinity, increases magic damage by 1%, and Arcane Resistance, reduces damage from magical variety by 1%. Off the bat, I want to say Arcane Pulse sounds like such a melee and a tank, just a physical DPS melee ability. To be able to have arcane pulses around you, whether you're in an AoE situation or a single target, would be amazing in a boss fight in Mythic Plus. Of course, you have abilities like Arcane Affinity that allows range casters like mages and warlocks to benefit from the range damage that they can do. It does go to say that it increases magic damage, so it doesn't say arcane damage or any specific spell tree, just says all magic damage. So hunters that are survival and have nature and fire abilities, Subtlety rogues with some shadow damage, and an Assassination Rogue with nature damage can totally benefit from this just as well. So I feel like this would work well for melee, but can also work for casters if you're in PvE. In PvP, however, I feel like Arcane Pulse takes it over. To be able to play a class like a warrior that has slows and is trying to chase after a druid who's always shifting from form to form, trying to stay mobile, Arcane Pulse will allow you that slow and extra damage. Or imagine a Subtlety Rogue opening up with a back-to-back stun lock rotation on top of it with Arcane Pulses pulsing on top of the enemy dealing more damage. I feel that in PvP, melee DPS would find the slow and the AoE damage that it deals with you a lot stronger than a caster would. Technically, if you're an Arcane Mage, you can use it to blink into enemies and use Arcane Explosion while you're Arcane Pulsing on top of them. But chances of you successfully doing that and not dying in a BG are not as good as that of a melee. So I feel like for Nightborn, if you want to do PvE, DPS is probably your best role, probably better as a melee. And if you want to do PvP, I think melee are going to benefit from Arcane Pulse a lot better than some of the casters. And then we have Lightforged Draenei, which probably have the best balanced racials so far. And the reason I want to say they're balanced is because they don't really seem to have too much of an affinity. Your racials are Light's Judgment, calls down a strike of holy energy that deals damage to enemies within 5 yards after 3-second delay. 40-yard range, so it's a distance ability, 2.5 minute cooldown. Forge of Light, summon a Forge of Light, enabling blacksmithing, blacksmithing increased by 10%. Demon Bane, experience gained from killing demons increased by 20%. Light's Reckoning, when you die, the light avenges you, dealing holy damage to enemies within 8 yards and healing allies. And Holy Resistance, reduces holy damage taken by 1%. In a way, this can work for PvE on a healer, DPS, and a tank. The damage you bring from Light's Judgment and the damage and healing you get from Light's Reckoning when you do die in a PvE situation is actually beneficial for your team, because you still bring a little bit extra damage, and you can heal a team that's, let's say, exhausted from fighting a bunch of mobs in a Mythic Plus. So this is balanced for all 3 variants, whether you're tank, healer, or DPS in PvE. In PvP, I can't think of a single class that can utilize it to some crazy extent, but these aren't bad racials. Extra damage on command is a lot stronger than no damage on command. So I feel like in PvP and PvE, you can play whatever the hell you want as an Lightforged Draenei. Whether you're a Hunter, Mage, Paladin, Priest, or Warrior, I feel that these racials work for any combination, even as a healer. Maybe, if anything, as a Disciplined Priest, this helps you with Light's Judgment to do more damage, which kind of benefits from your Atonement healing, and Light's Reckoning could also benefit from Atonement healing as well, but that's the most as far as I can go. I feel like these guys are probably most balanced, so if you're not sure what you want to play on Alliance, whether it's a tank, healer, DPS, Lightforged Draenei will allow you to be able to do just about anything and everything, no matter what class and specialization and role you're playing. And then we have the High Mountain Tauren, which these guys were a little bit hard to figure out. I had to take a little bit of a second to understand where the racials would kind of work out, and to maximize these guys was at first hard to pinpoint how exactly could you min-max them. The High Mountain Tauren racials are Bull Rush, charges forward for 1 second, knocking enemies down for 1.5 seconds, 2-minute cooldown. Racial passives are Pride of the Iron Horn, mining skill increased by 15 and allows you to mine faster. Mountaineer, increases versatility by 1%. Rugged Tenacity, reduces damage taken by character level times 3 or some kind of math they'll have in the future. And Waste Not, Want Not, the chance of looting additional meat and fish. So these guys are pretty straightforward, and they don't really have too many racials that are polarizing, so how would you use it? Off the bat, Rugged Tenacity tells you that healers and tanks will probably utilize it a lot more. As a healer, if you take less damage overall, spend more time healing your friendly and teammates, that means your party is probably gonna stay alive. And as a tank, as you take damage, you want to take less damage, so your healer has an easier time healing you as well as the rest of the party. Bull Rush does allow you a little bit of an interrupt, and as long as it works as a knockdown, which is different from a stun effect, then it won't have the same diminishing returns. You might be able to stun an enemy 3 times in a row and then the diminishing returns are up, but then knockdown will still allow you to interrupt the enemy, so this will work as a pseudo interrupt. If you don't have a kick available and you have a pile of mobs that are about to cast a spell that's about to wipe your party, you can just Bull Rush through them. It does kind of cause you to charge through them, so it does displace you. Bull Rush through the enemies, knock them down, interrupt the spell casting, and live a second longer. So this is nice, and I feel this works well for healers and tanks if you want to min-max it, but DPS can technically utilize it, as I think DPS generally don't have enough of health and don't generally take enough of damage from Rugged Tenacity to really take full effect. As I would say in PvE, tanks and healers probably take the most amount of damage, and they would utilize that racial passive a lot more. In PvP, however, this was kind of hard. Technically, you don't have a single class that cannot benefit from Rugged Tenacity and Bull Rush. But if you are trying to min-max, I think being a healer as a High Mountain Tauren will serve you to the best possible, circumstances. Rugged Tenacity will allow you to take on a little bit more damage, as DPS are going to be training healers a lot. Technically, you can PvP as a tank, but I don't think many people are going to hit into you if you're a tank. Rugged Tenacity would definitely help you there, but as a healer who gets trained a lot, let's say you are a Resto Druid healer. You are a Resto and you're sitting in bear form and a Frost Death Knight is just tunneling you down. Thank God you have Rugged Tenacity to be able to live him a little bit longer than usual. And healers can also utilize Bull Rush, as long as it doesn't work as a stun but rather as a knockdown, to utilize that racial in order to knock down enemies and disrupt their spell casting. So in a way, you could have some utility and survivability, which I think would work better for healers overall. Again, technically DPS, like plate and melee and ranged and all types, can utilize rugged tenacity and bull rush. I just don't know as a melee if I would trust myself with bull rush. If I have bad connection, if I displace myself and I miss the enemy, and let's say it is working like a stun rather than knockdown, then it becomes less useful. And if I displace myself with that charge into Kingdom Come, and I try to get back to the enemy, I don't have any mobility to catch up, then I can just literally be kited forever. So you gotta be really, really careful if you are trying to play these guys. And again, if you want to min-max them, I think a healer for PvP would be probably the best option. And healer or DPS in PvE, again, only if you're trying to min-max. If you're somebody who does mining all day long, definitely have fun, go and play your High Mountain Torrent, don't let me stop you. Overall, I want to say these racials so far have been great. I am yet to see what Zandalari trolls will be able to do, as well as the Dark Iron Dwarves, and I cannot wait. As soon as we find out more about those guys, I think I want to make a separate video for each one of those to see just how good they are, just how good these racials are. But this is what I have for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I had so much fun looking at these racials and trying to figure out where you might want to use it. Again, this is just my opinion video, and this is talking about maximizing particular specs, classes, roles with these racials if you want to min-max. Technically, you can play whatever you want. Do you want to play as a healer Nightborn? You can. Do you want to play as a melee Void Elf? You're more than welcome to. Don't let it stop you. Don't let your class fantasy of whatever race class combo you wish stop you. But if you're somebody who does want to do a little bit extra and maximize it, well then, hopefully this video is helpful for you guys. As always, if you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like. Likes allow my videos to reach a wider audience and allows my channel to grow, so that would be very much appreciated. If you guys enjoyed the content, you like the talks about BFA, the updates, the 5-5-1-in-1 duels, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to catch the live stream, which happen every single day, except for Thursday, then go ahead and hit the notification bell next to the subscribe button down below. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see all of you in another video.